Hey everybody, today I just wanted to make a very quick overview video. Now, before I go into the video, I want to just quickly advertise my new playlist. So my new playlist, it's called Company Initial Screening. And what I talk about in this playlist is what you should look for before you go investing into a company. Just kind of the things that are going to point out red flags. So I talk about earnings per share, PE ratios, tricks and traps, and just kind of the certain things that you should definitely pay attention to, like depreciation and how certain companies are different. Like REITs, for example, will be totally different, and they'll use something else that's not PE ratio or earnings per share. So going right back into the video, I wanted to start with Apple. Now, the one thing I want to point out on Apple is we have a Doji. As you can see, I'm going to zoom in right here. That's a Doji. And where did this Doji happen to take place? Well, if we zoom out, it took place right on our support trend line. So things get a little bit dangerous right here because now let's say tomorrow we have a red candle. Well, then I think that's going to be indicative of further sell-off because usually a doji is going to be followed by one candle, and then that candle will determine if we're bullish or bearish. So we had another doji here the other day, and you can see we rallied significantly here, but now we have another doji. So they're keeping us on our toes, literally. So let's say we have one more bullish day. I think that looks good. And I think where we should start being careful on Apple is going to be back off this old resistance trend line. So maybe like 150, you should be a little bit careful. And then I'd also be careful right around here at 150, 156, which is this old support area. And then, yeah, you just got to be careful everywhere, pretty much. And then I'll be careful probably right around here where we started this initial sell-off, this massive sell-off right here at 153.44. So many areas that you got to be careful of. And if we do want to draw a trend channel, we could do this. So yeah, even the top of this trend channel, you should be careful. So that's Apple for you. SPY, same exact thing. We built out a doji. But here on SPY, we're kind of just hovering. So we're hovering right in the middle of this downtrend channel. So, things get a little bit dangerous here as well. And, if we fall, we're going to have support right here at around 394. But it's not very strong support, as you can see. So once we start falling under this 394 area and we close underneath that, then things could get really dangerous and we could pretty much just fall right down to 350, like no problem. Because look, there's really no support in this area. Now I would say our best support is probably this line down here. So if we ever break down below this line, then things get really ugly. It's basically this massive gosh, what is that, like a 10% move right here? So yeah, essentially this, actually it's a little bit over 10%. So it's about a 13% move down if we break down below these areas. So definitely be a little bit cautious here. Um, Ideally, we'd like to get back above this trend channel and then start doodling around here and then maybe eventually start retesting these levels back here. But I think that's less likely. But you never know. I mean, there is so much put premium right now that it wouldn't surprise me if the market makers just want to screw all of that over and give us a little rally here. So definitely be cautious. We got a doji. We need to see what happens tomorrow. Like I said with Apple, they're keeping us on our toes. And let's see. Let me go to the weekly. See what's up here on the weekly. Oh, yeah, take a look at that. We closed pretty much 1 cent below the 100-day um, weekly moving average. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. 1 cent under. Now, also keep in mind we had one, two, three, four, five, 6 ugly weeks of selling. We could go for a seventh. There's nothing saying that we can't go for a seventh week of selling. But statistically, it doesn't happen very often. And I said statistically, five doesn't happen very often. Well, statistically, six doesn't happen very often either. You usually see this in crash periods. And we're not too far away from a crash. I mean, we're like 15% down. The NASDAQ is in a crash, however. Russell is also in a crash. So let's take a look at UVXY, which is following the VIX. This is the key thing that I want to point out. This is one thing that gives me like the slightest slimmer of hope that we're going to see some sort of rally. Now, it's not like 100%. So I do want to point out we had this break on the trend line. So this was support right here and right here. So support, support, and then you can see that we clearly broke under, but there's still this gap. So we still have this gap that could get filled. And if we look right here, we did close underneath this 1525 support as well. So this is looking a little bit more bullish, just seeing volatility fade like this. So things look good on this side, but I do know that I believe Powell is going to have an interview tomorrow in the afternoon. So, that makes me a little bit nervous, but I feel like he's not going to say anything new. But who knows? Sometimes the market, they'll overreact on something that's not really even new news. So we'll see how that turns out. Maybe we get a bullish start in the day, and then later when Powell starts talking in his interview, things get a little bit worse. So who knows? We'll see. But right now I'm definitely seeing price action round out. I'm seeing volume fade. I see a break in the trend. Things look good right now. And I think today was especially fishy because, volatility faded. But look, the S&P 500 was down 0.41%. And we also are seeing volume fade a little bit here. So it was picking up right here. Now it's starting to fade a little bit. And with Apple, if we look at Apple, volume definitely faded on Apple. So there was some serious selling going on this day. And then now you could start seeing volume really fade. I mean, 86.64 million. This day right here, that was like an insane day. Gosh, I think that was like 160 million or something. So it was like double. So pretty crazy. I mean, volume's fading. Now, let's look at XLF. So XLF is definitely getting pretty tight. And you can see that it's starting to hit the resistance trend line. And, maybe this thing starts breaking out. Who knows? But I do want to point out that one of the biggest holdings is JP Morgan. And I'm going to take a look at JP Morgan here. So JP Morgan is also in this falling wedge pattern. But one thing I do want to notice is that we are at support right here. And you can see that this was an area during the 2020 crash where we did have this little support right here, and then we basically crashed right below that. So we are at this level right here. Maybe we could see the exact same thing play out. And I do want to note that there is a gap right here at 105.63 that's never gone back to get filled. So now we're finally going back to see this gap play out, maybe. 105.31 and 109.78 are the areas that you need to look at. So if the S&P 500 really starts cracking down, I think it could happen because of this bank sector, and we could just see JP Morgan just totally fill this gap right here, and you see a lot of pain on the indices. And the last thing I want to talk about is I just want to look at the dollar real quick here. So the dollar has been so strong. Now I could zoom out here a little bit. This has basically been since March. So since the end of March, starting April, we had this massive rally. And now we're finally starting to fade just a little bit. I mean, most of this fade happened basically on Friday and today. But in the grand scheme of things, it still looks pretty bullish. So what I would like to see is for us to just break underneath this trend line right here. So this does definitely look like a flag. So I would like to see us just break all the way down here and just totally knife down. So I mean, that's asking a lot. I mean, let me just go zoom out a little bit more. The dollar's been like the most bullish thing in this entire market. So dollar is definitely a safe haven. And yeah, who knows? So right now it just looks very, very, very bullish. I'd like to see this break down. And the dollar and the VIX have just been moving together. If we see the dollar go down, you know, the VIX is going down. So that's what we saw today. You know, we saw VIX breaking down because the dollar is starting to go down. Now, you know what? I haven't actually charted Bitcoin here yet. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, now there's just one very important thing I want to note on Bitcoin. So I've seen a lot of other people chart Bitcoin, but I haven't really seen them catch this. So take a look at this. So this was an old trend line that we're following. Now you can see that it catches this move, catches all of these moves, catches this move, and then once we break underneath this, it really starts fading. Now this was an old support area for 2020, and then look exactly where we got caught right here. So in the grand scheme of things, you know, Bitcoin could just be trading back into this channel. So right here we broke above this, and then we've just been doodling around here. And then what I think could happen is that, you know, we could just move slowly at a slower growth rate within this channel right here. And we could just build out this sideways motion. Or, you know, what other people are saying is that we could totally just crash here and go straight down to like 19,000 here. So I mean, below this, there's really not a whole lot of support. So if we do break below this trend channel here, you know, I do think that this line can act as support. So look, have this drawn on your Bitcoin chart if you don't already. I do think that this could act as support, and if not, then, you know, I think we could just totally just erase this entire move and go straight to 19,000. And you can see that 19,000 was prior resistance right here. So like literally the worst case scenario, well, obviously the worst case scenario would be like 0, but if we do break below that, my lord, this could go all the way down to like 9,000, which was a pretty good shelf area. So there is quite a bit of risk on Bitcoin, but we do want to see if this trend channel is actually a thing. You know, was I early on this, or am I totally wrong on this? Because I do see some sort of pattern playing out here. And we do have this strong downtrend here. I do remember that there was some other pattern going on here. Let me see if I could find it. Yeah, it was this one right here. So yeah, as you can see, we basically have this area right here. And then when we broke above, we rallied. When we broke below, we tanked. And then we kind of had these, just like these indecision candles right here, rallied and then faded right below that. So ideally, I'd like to see Bitcoin make it back above this trend channel, this resistance line, and this prior support, which is now resistance. So that would have to, we would have to get back above, let's see. So I would want to see us get back above 37,000, maybe like 38,000, and then I would start feeling a little bit better. But ultimately, to be a little bit more bullish on Bitcoin, I would want to see a higher high. So I would want to see us go above 48,000 and build out a higher high. Then I would feel much, much better about Bitcoin. So right now I'm just a little bit on edge. You know, we could fall to 25,000 here, which would be the bottom of the support line. And you know, if we ever break below that at any point in time, it looks very ugly. It's going straight down to 20,000 or 19,000-ish. So let's just go ahead and introduce the moving averages. Now the 50-day moving average here is all the way here at 39,302. 20-day moving average is probably the first thing we should get above, is 33,934. And the 200-day moving average is all the way here at 45,106. So yeah, Bitcoin's got some work to do. So I hope you guys appreciate this video, and have a great one and stay safe out there.